Right from the beginning, I've hated the whole idea of going to school. I don't understand the logic behind going to school, being forced to sit in a room with other kids for hours and learning things we'll never use in life. I never got the point of this nonsense logic, and as I got older, my thoughts didn't change. Somehow, I made it through middle school, but then I started skipping classes. I never thought I'd share this, but it's been weighing on me, and I believe it's all my fault. I'd grab my bicycle and hit the untouched roads or follow car tracks into the forest. Sometimes I'd join other kids like me, spending hours under the bridge playing video games. My grades suffered because I wasn't showing up for regular classes. When high school came around, my parents enrolled me in an expensive boarding school, hoping I'd improve and focus on my studies. But breaking old habits was almost impossible. It took some time, but I found friends like me in this new school. They showed us how to sneak out, and we even traded video games for cigarettes. We usually left school and met in the forest behind it, spending hours wasting our time. It was just another typical day when I heard a disturbing sound, like someone's hand being chopped off or an animal being badly hurt. We decided to check it out. I was with my friend Niall, and the sound seemed to come from somewhere near, close to Mr. Freddy's house. Mr. Freddy was a janitor at our school, handling small tasks like cleaning and dusting. He knew every nook and cranny of the school, places where a student could possibly hide. He had even caught us smoking once, but he'd never told anyone. He just turned around and continued his work as if he hadn't seen anything. Now you might think that some students would appreciate him for that, but that's not true. Not a single person in school liked him. There was something unsettling about that person. His appearance was eerie, long white hair, bald in the center. He couldn't walk properly, and his head was always bent as if he had some kind of disease. A strange smell always emanated from him, and everyone in school kept their distance from him. Niall didn't want to go any further to check out whatever was making that sound, but I convinced him to come with me. I just wanted a little adventure, but I hadn't imagined that I would witness something like that. We followed the noise, and it led us to his house, a small cabin in the woods. That place was super old and run down, making us wonder if anyone actually lived there. Niall tried to stop me a bunch of times, but I wasn't listening. When we opened the door, it creaked like crazy. Inside, we found some stairs leading down. It was so dark that I had to use my lighter. The smell down there was awful, making it hard to breathe. As we went down, we couldn't believe our eyes. Our hearts stopped. There was a big blackboard and some chairs, like a classroom. But on those chairs were dead animals wearing our school uniforms. Niall couldn't handle it and started vomiting. He freaked out, shouting loud, but I had to hush him up. I warned him not to speak loudly, or Mr. Freddy might hear us. I quickly grabbed his arm, trying to make it back out quietly. As we turned, we saw a shadow of someone coming downstairs. It was Mr. Freddy, holding a sharp knife. "Would you guys like to tell me exactly what you're doing here?" he asked in a creepy way. I told him that we lost our way and are heading back, promising we wouldn't bother him again. He replied, "Oh, so you lost your way? I don't find your answer very convincing, but I'll let you go this time." I nodded in agreement and tried to leave quickly, but Niall stopped. I tried to pull him away, but something else was going on in his mind. He started shouting that Mr. Freddy was a madman and that he would tell everyone what he'd done. Niall quickly grabbed a piece of wood to hit Mr. Freddy, but he stopped him and pushed him away. Mr. Freddy said all he wanted from us was to be quiet. Then he stepped towards Niall with the knife in his hand. At that moment, I didn't look back and started running upstairs. I still regret leaving Niall behind. I didn't help him. Maybe if I had fought, I could have saved him. But then I slipped and fell down. I opened my eyes in the school hospital. There was a letter on the table saying, "Keep quiet and stay safe." I went outside to check, and Niall had been declared missing. The police questioned me about it, but I didn't say anything because Mr. Freddy was always around, keeping a close eye on me. This happened when I was in high school. We were a group of 5 friends, and Sarah was my best friend and the most daring among us. Everything was going normally until the day she accepted the dare to go to the restricted area of our school, an old washroom. There had been rumors that a girl committed suicide there, and since then, it had been labeled as a haunted area of our school. Many students had reported hearing screams and seeing someone. The authorities declared it a restricted area after those incidents, and no one was allowed near the place. It remained closed and untouched for years until the day Sarah made a bet. I told her she didn't need to do this, but she wanted to prove to everyone that she was not afraid of anything. So I stayed behind with the other girls as she entered the bathroom. A few minutes passed by. I called her, but she didn't respond. Then a scream pierced through our ears. I quickly ran inside. Sarah was standing there bursting in laughter. She had played a prank on me. I looked around. It was a creepy place, but not too different from any other abandoned spot. The broken doors, the crumbling walls, the cobwebs in the corners that just made it a bit scarier. Knowing someone had died there added to the spooky atmosphere. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was staring at her, even though no one was visibly present. I was already scared and left quickly with Sarah following me. After spending some time in the bathroom, she emerged, proudly showing everyone the proof of her bravery. Little did she understand the mistake she had made. From that day onward, Sarah began acting strangely. I asked her many times what was wrong, but she never told me clearly. She found herself back at school in these dreams, and even showed me a scar that according to her was from one of these vivid dream experiences. At school, she would mention that someone was calling her in that restricted area. It was all quite scary, but her condition was worsening. She wasn't the same person anymore. Her face showed signs of sleepless nights, marked by dark circles, and her mind seemed stuck in that restricted area. Her parents took her to the hospital, and the doctors prescribed sleep pills. However, these pills only worsened her condition. Then one morning, Sarah was found dead in her bed. Many of her bones were broken. The doctors stated that she died from a heart attack, but they couldn't comprehend what actually happened to her and why her bones were broken without any apparent injury. Her death left many questions unanswered. How and why she died. But I'm sure of one thing, Sarah never returned from her nightmare. It was just an ordinary day, or so I thought at first. I returned home from school as usual, putting my bag aside and hanging out with friends. As a young high school student living with my grandma, life was pretty routine. But that evening, as I opened my bag, I discovered a mysterious letter inside. Confused, I had no idea where it came from, but curiosity got the best of me, and I decided to open it. Dear Lily, you might not know me, but I know you. You are the most beautiful person in the world. Every day I wake up, and you are the first person I think of. I feel a weird warmth in my heart every time I see you. I can't imagine living in a world without you. I want you to know my feelings, and I hope we can get closer through this. Love, from your secret admirer. I was completely taken aback. Butterflies danced in my stomach, and I couldn't even sleep that night, my mind consumed by thoughts of this mysterious admirer. The next day at school, I found a flower left on my desk with the message, "A lily for my Lily." My entire day passed in a whirlwind of emotions as I received gifts, cards, soft toys, and flowers, all accompanied by heartfelt messages and letters. I found myself thoroughly immersed in the mystery, spending most of my time thinking about this secret admirer and discussing every detail with my friends. The curiosity gnawed at me, compelling me to inquire within my class and among friends, desperately trying to uncover the identity of this mysterious person. Despite my efforts, the answers I received were far from satisfying. As the days turned into months, my obsession with discovering the identity of my secret lover intensified. My friends, concerned for my well-being, advised me to let go and ignore the situation, but I couldn't shake the need to unveil the mystery. Then, on Christmas evening, I received another gift. This time, however, it made me uneasy because it had been sent directly to my address. An envelope accompanied the gift, and as I nervously opened it, I discovered a letter that sent shivers down my spine. It read, "You are looking beautiful today. You have amazing legs. Happy Christmas." From that day onward, things took a dark turn. The person behind these mysterious gifts started sending me cards with increasingly creepy messages. Sometimes he even included drawings of me and sent pictures he had taken from a distance. The situation escalated, and I began to feel like I was being followed. One night, a shadowy figure appeared in my window. Despite thoroughly checking the area, there was no one to be found. I closed the curtains, but I couldn't sleep that night. The unease persisted as I started hearing footsteps when I was alone and felt a constant eerie presence around me. It became unnerving, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The fear escalated to a point where I was even scared to be on my own. One weekend, I decided to escape the discomfort by going to my best friend's place for a movie night, just a short 5-minute walk from my grandma's house. Little did I know that this night would haunt me for the rest of my life. Emma and I were enjoying a movie night at her place, and she had mentioned that her parents were out of the city for a business gathering, leaving her alone with her only brother in the house. Everything seemed normal until midway through the movie, when Emma excused herself to go to the kitchen for some snacks, leaving me alone in the room. After a while, I heard an odd sound coming from the next room. Intrigued, I decided to check it out. As I opened the door, a shocking red beam of light spilled out, revealing Emma's brother's room. Above his bed hung a massive picture of him, and I was about to close the door when something caught my eye. To my horror, I discovered randomly clicked pictures of myself plastered all over his wall, facing his study table. Various letters were neatly organized on the table, each one addressed to me. My heart sank as I took in the disturbing scene. Emma's brother, the seemingly nice guy who helped us with school projects and occasionally drove us home, turned out to be my obsessive stalker. The realization was chilling, and I never could have imagined that someone so familiar could harbor such disturbing intentions. I was utterly shocked, my sense of control slipping away as I turned back and hurried toward the door, only to encounter Emma's brother staring at me with a strange smile on his face. His sudden presence terrified me. He walked toward me, and I found myself rooted to the spot, my heart racing. He stopped a few feet away from me. "So, finally, you found out about me. I wanted to give you this surprise myself, but alas, you've exposed me before time," he said, moving closer. His dark eyes remained fixed on me. With an eerie smile, he confessed to being deeply in love with me from the very first day I moved to town. His confident and dominating tone only heightened my fear. I had never looked at him in that way. He continued saying, "I can't live without you, and you have to say yes to me, or else I'll do something terrible," as he grabbed my hands. My heart skipped a beat at the unwelcome contact, and fear surged through me. With every ounce of strength, I pushed him away and I ran towards the main door without a second thought. All I wanted in that moment was to escape that place. I could hear Emma calling my name from behind, but I did not dare look back. I reached my home and locked myself in my room. My body was shaking, and my face was wet with tears. After that night, I made the decision to move away and started living with my parents, hoping to leave my past behind. However, the memory of that stalker continued to haunt me, and I found it challenging to truly be free from the trauma he inflicted upon me.